about talent management, it's been over the years, it made sense for us to do talent management based on the size of the job. So as you went up the hierarchy, that's when there will be somebody who in an organization, typically an academy company, let's assume Unilever, or and that's where I have had my scars, and we've learned from these academy companies. There would be roles that are really big roles on the top of the hierarchy. And talent management is all about making sure you have really good people in these big roles. And then there's a whole lot of system attached to it. That, how are those roles compensated? Are you making sure you're appointing the right talent? What are you doing for succession in those big roles? Now that made a whole lot of sense when you think about it, and looking at talent management in that way is when you always had a good supply of talent. So you're assuming that you have an amazing talent that you have over the years taken either through management trainee schemes or internships, etc. And people have gone up that hierarchy. And it made a lot of sense when the value was a little bit stable in the world. Right, you kind of knew a Pepsi or a Procter & Gamble or Unilever, any of these large companies, they kind of had this ability to predict the jobs which are going to be big and work towards those. Now, in the recent past, we have seen as the change has been tremendous. What is valuable today may not be valuable tomorrow. Right. And that's where we are seeing that the change hits and the value shifts. And let me tell you a story on that. And this is very, very connected to how talent to value was born in the first place. The story is that a lot of us in CEO Works, we've like I mentioned, we've come with 30 years of experience or what have you, but typically in these large organizations. And I was in Unilever around 20 years back when there was probably a large transformation happening. And what was that transformation? The transformation was, for the first time in 70 years of its history, Unilever had come up with a profit warning. And what that meant was that there was a need to have a different strategy. And when you started looking at the strategy, most organizations get that strategy pretty correct. So in the Unilever case, the big jobs and the big profitable businesses were in foods. So our greatest talent in marketing, Unilever being a marketing company, our brand managers, everybody who was making great advertising was they were in our foods division and trying to sell perhaps margarine. And we know that margarine is one of those products which gave us a lot of value in the past. But guess what? That was pretty baked into the stock price. That's not going to change how the transformation was going to happen. What was really needed was to put our investments behind really small products, which was personal products, which was getting into shampoo and competing with the biggest shampoo companies at that point in time it was Procter & Gamble. And the question that we were trying to ask that in that transformation was that, did you have the right talent in the jobs which was going to create value in the future? So not the valuable jobs in the past, which could have been margarine, but do you have the right talent to really take the organization to its future value? And it became really clear that when we started looking at the strategy, it became really clear that the roles which were going to create value in the future were not the biggest jobs today. However, we had to really attract very, very good talent in these small roles, which was going to create a whole lot of it. We had to really invest in people, invest in roles to create that future value bridge for us and kind of execute on our strategy. And that's how we kind of started building the talent to value process. And we will, when I explain the 5 steps that we have, which is a repeatable model connecting talent to value, you will get an idea of, this non-hierarchical, small roles today, but it has big value, right? So they're probably, in an organization, they're not N-1 roles, but they're probably tucked maybe N-3 or N-4. But that's when we started seeing the power to say, what is the roles which have value today and what are the roles which have value tomorrow, and creating that distinction. And then, of course, our founder, Sandy Org, who was the CHRO of Unilever and went as one of the first operating partners in private equity when he joined Blackstone. At that point in time, in 2009, there were maybe 100 transformations happening at any point in time. And he saw that this question that was being asked is that if we have a value agenda, we have a strategy, we have an ambition, do we have the talent to meet or execute on our ambition at the right places? Where are those leverage points which are going to create value? And that's when he was able to kind of create this process and refine this process. And that's what we're going to share with you, which of course CEO Works, which was formed around 5 years back, has had the opportunity first with McKinsey to do many, many projects, as they call studies. So between CEO Works clients and McKinsey clients, we've done this now over maybe 200 times as studies to really refine and refresh. At any point in time, we are learning and adding to that learning to create this methodology. So that's really how Talent to Value was born.